The following conversation is with Nancy Nash. Nancy is a highly motivated wellness coach and entrepreneur dedicated to empowering individuals to lead healthier and more fulfilling lives. It's such a great privilege to have you here with me today. I have known you already for a while now, and what connects us is, I believe, the love for entrepreneurship and making some changes in our lives to improve our lives, but also the lives of our communities. And I'm very curious to learn about your first steps in your entrepreneurial journey. What actually motivated you to join the entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurial path in general?
Well, I guess, do you mean what motivated me to be curious about entrepreneurship or actually launch a business?
To launch a business. I know that you're a
Okay.
very curious person, so that's given.
Yeah, because I would say I've been curious and interested in entrepreneurship for a while, but not brave enough to take the leap. And unfortunately, desperation, I would say, and feeling like I ran out of options. So, like a lot of people, I got laid off from a job that I was really enjoying as a personal trainer at a gym in 2020. And I've had an idea for quite a while that I wanted to do so much more for that. I mean, I feel like I kind of was already doing more than just what people think of as a personal trainer. I definitely wanted to be someone that could serve someone on a mental, emotional, and physical level and really put together all the pieces that they needed in order for them to have the healthy lifestyle that they wanted so they could do all the other things that they wanted to do. So in 2020, I took some time and did some research and started working with my own like application essentially that people can log their workouts and log nutrition. But I think behind the scenes a lot more of it is curious conversations and really helping them think through the barriers that are happening or that will happen in the next stage of their journey so that they can have that longevity, that long relationship with health and fitness. So desperation in the beginning and then passion, I would say, launched my entrepreneurial journey.
Very cool. Where is this passion from? What was your health journey, if you would like to share with us? How did you end up to be so passionate about this topic?
Sure. Well, as a kid, I was not athletic at all, which a lot of people don't believe, but I had a lot of injuries pretty early on. So I got to work with some great physical therapists. So I already had a good association there with corrective exercise. And then I went into photography actually, and I got laid off from a job that I really loved, a similar story. Um, and unfortunately, I didn't deal with it quite as well as I did with my entrepreneurial journey. I did a lot of emotional eating, and I became pretty depressed and I gained a lot of weight. So, in the process of, kind of finding myself, I started making healthier choices and just realizing that I actually got engaged to my husband the day before I got laid off. So it was sort of like this, pick a path. Like, do I want this long life with this wonderful person that I've just met, or am I going to kind of give into this depression that I'm feeling because I feel like I don't have a purpose, that I had before that really was meaningful to me. So I did take some time and just slowly make some healthier habits, start exercising again. And eventually that resulted in like 150 to 170 pound weight loss. And then I started learning more about corrective exercise and strength training and nutrition. And instead of just having the goal of being as thin as possible, I actually gained some muscle. So that's why I kind of like give that weight loss in a range, because I started realizing that that was not like the end goal. I really just wanted to live a healthy life where I was more capable of doing things. And becoming a personal trainer was also not really the plan. I thought I was going to become a registered dietitian. But when I became a personal trainer, kind of all of that background that I had had with corrective exercise and great physical therapists came back to me. I got to work with people that had had all sorts of different conditions and help them, regain mobility, regain the ability to do a whole bunch of different things, not just come back from surgery, but like get back into sports that they enjoyed, or plan for a hike they had never done before. And I really found like a deep sense of purpose in that. And that is also part of my personal motivation, I think, at this point, to stay in shape, is that I want to not just be a living example, but I want to be able to help people with that and demonstrate all the things I need to do. So
That's
if I didn't
beautiful. And
completely answer the question, let me know.
no, it's absolutely fascinating, and congratulations on giving yourself also the chance to change that the direction of your life, right? Because you really gave yourself the chance to take care of yourself, of your body, of your physical body, but I can also imagine of your mental and emotional body as well, right? But
Even more
on the
so.
other hand, yes, I can also imagine that this type of change is really connected also to many challenges. So my question would be, how how did you deal with the challenges on the way to lose your weight, but also then later on to kind of recalibrate your whole life around your well-being, but also then your business?
Yeah, I mean, this is a good question, and I think has multiple layers. I think for my, health journey, I think and for anyone, I think there are physical barriers. Those are the ones that we think of the most. Like, I don't have enough time, or I've hit a plateau and I'm not really sure why. And then there are the mental, emotional barriers. Losing my dad is one that I just shared about on my channel. But going through grief, losing a job, just a big life change, all of those things can be big barriers. So for me, I would say in the beginning, it was kind of like reaching a plateau point and not really knowing what to do next. But fortunately, as we kind of discussed in the beginning, I am a very curious person, and I have a great deal of personal ownership. So I and this is something I definitely coach clients into. It's really easy to be like, well, my boss is not giving me enough time. But how am I thinking about my time? Maybe I could just add in, and this is actually what I started doing. Like, maybe I could start adding a 10-minute walk during this break that I already have, instead of sitting there and zoning out and looking at the computer like I'm used to, or going to the cafeteria and getting a cookie. I could start walking. And then for me, one of the things that helped me pass some of those barriers was other people wanted to do those things too. They just maybe didn't have the incentive to do them by themselves. So I think that has helped me, as I have hit like some of those physical plateaus, being like, this isn't just going to help me. This is going to help other people too. This is going to make me more informed about talking to them. I would say that was another barrier I hit. I was really uncomfortable when people started coming up to me at work. I had a desk job for about 6 years, and during that time is when I lost most of the weight. And after I had lost about 100 pounds and been there, maybe 3 years, that is the point at which people would say, did you lose some weight? How did you do that? Because they were like sort of comfortable at that point with, she probably did. I could probably ask at this point. It seems like, this is real. But I was really uncomfortable talking about what I had done. And I also felt like, is this, able to be replicated? Can I even say anything that will help this person? I don't want to lead them astray. So I think that was a barrier for me. Like I talked about in the beginning of this conversation, talking about myself feels weird sometimes. It felt really, really weird in the beginning. So getting through that and educating myself and being able to help other people, I think was hugely motivating in getting through that. And then On the mental emotional side, I am a person that has had periods of time when I've felt really, really down. And, while I definitely believe in therapy and I'm with a good therapist now, I really do feel like thinking about our mental approach in relation to our physical approach with our wellness, that's definitely something I try to promote with clients, because I think sometimes those are the biggest barriers. Like I said, for me with my dad dying and then getting laid off, those things kind of felt like they, happened right in a row. Um, and I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. I feel like I went off on a tangent and didn't come back, but let me know.
I'm sure that many people can relate to that. Also, you are such a great inspiration for many of them. Even right now, just sharing the story with me, it's just like I didn't know all of the details, and it's just so beautiful to say and to see, your transformation and how you went through that with grace and compassion, and you found your purpose at the end, right? Because you also started to help people to transform their lives through different methodologies. And right now, I'm curious to learn about the methodologies you are using while you are working with your clients.
Sure. I think the first time I learned about motivational interviewing, I think that was super helpful for me. And that is, a really basic format. But and it's more about reflecting back what the person has said to you so that they can hear it, and also like they can also kind of like self-correct in the moment, so it's non-threatening. It's a lot less instructive. I think a lot of people think of fitness instructors like they're going to tell me what to do. I'm also not beholden at this point to just one nutrition plan, excuse me, or just one exercise plan, because I've realized that, people get bored. If you're going to do this for life, you really need to make sure that you incorporate variety, but maybe more importantly, that like there's a reason that, you can do like this kickboxing gym, or, just this yoga Pilates, boot camp. Like there are so many different modalities of exercise. What really matters is the grander goals you have in mind for yourself, and then making sure that you can measure your success, that you're always kind of working towards them, and that as your goals evolve and grow, you allow your plan to evolve and grow. So I think I'm more about like, here are the array of options, and some people feel really overwhelmed by how many options there are. Here's why I think it would be good for you to start here. And we can make this as simple or as in-depth as you want. Like I have clients that count calories, look at macros, like think about how many servings of vegetables and fiber, like go really deep with it. And then I have clients who just vaguely tell me what they eat, and we talk about making healthier swaps, because not everyone is ready to take on everything at once, and I certainly wasn't. And the same with exercise too. Sometimes it really is better in the beginning to just have like an A-B plan and kind of keep going through that at a rhythm that someone can really form some good movement patterns. Because like patterns of thought, it takes time. And for other people, they are ready to really dive in. Maybe they already have good movement patterns and they just, really need a good workout. So I guess this is why I like personal training. And this is also why I've had trouble picturing scaling a solution, because I never want to lose that capacity to help people, choose their pick a path adventure.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. That's more on the, let's say, physiological side, right? And are there any tools that you're using to support your client on the more mental and emotional side?
I think it's a really good question. So As far as tools go, I think for me, staying within my scope of practice is really important. But at the same time, I'm a self proclaimed behavior change nerd. And I read a lot about behavior change science. I definitely think that the trans theoretical model of behavior change is a really good one, and I try to explain it in layman's terms to people so that they can kind of realize like how many times we have to think about something before we even take an action, and that counts too. I also like, some of BJ Fogg's writing. It's a little more complex for people, but I really like thinking about, building a wave of motivation and that motivation momentum that we need. And, but yeah, I think, you know, a lot of behavior change theory is theory still. Like, do we have a finite amount of willpower or can we train that? And I tend to think more that we can train that, but I think it's more important for me to measure what does that client believe about themselves. So on a psychological level, like measuring someone's limiting beliefs about themselves is something I try to do in a preliminary interview. And I would say I combined a whole bunch of preliminary interviews to kind of ask them some reflective questions in the beginning and just sort of gauge how they see themselves, how capable they see themselves, because sometimes that's the first barrier. Um, but I do also recognize, like I have had clients, who are addicts and who are bipolar, that like they may need a lot more support than I can give them, on a mental emotional level, or that I should be giving them. And I need to make sure that they have that in their life so that they can stick to the physical program that we're doing with nutrition and exercise. So I think knowing when it's kind of stepped out of my arena um, has been really important. So like I should not be all things to all people. Um, yeah, I don't know if I can call them tools. I would call them like behavior change models have helped me a lot um, understand the human brain and even how the brain processes pain too. Sometimes that's something you have to deal with people, like they're very uncomfortable with exercise because everything feels like pain or it just has felt uncomfortable. So making those mind muscle connections in the beginning is really key. I'm going off on a tangent again, but I feel like there's so many different things I could pull from. But the trans theoretical model of behavior change is a really good starting point for most people.
Just to summarize, what I understood from what you just shared is that basically your approach towards any client is just very personalized. You're just checking with them individually what they need, what they're at the moment, what have been their struggles, and all of the different tiny pieces that basically make them a human being, right? So you have this more holistic approach towards your clients in general.
I definitely try to think holistically, yes. And like also kind of like a detective, like what am I missing? What haven't I asked about? Because sometimes that's the thing, like I'll give a very silly example. Someone who's having chronic shoulder pain, you're asking, about like, and a lot of people too will start attributing it to the thing that they took on most recently. Even though the thing that they took on most recently might actually just be that like straw, that broke the camel's back. So a lot of them will be like, oh, I think I really overdid it, in exercise with my shoulder. And it's like, well, what are all the other things that they're doing with that shoulder? So I'm going to release a reel soon that shows my terrible cutting habits and my good cutting habits. And like, so if someone just prepped, a whole bunch of stuff for a holiday meal, like it might just be that. Or I was guilty of always carrying a heavy bag on the same shoulder and changing my whole posture along with it. But sometimes we don't think about those things. It's like, I've been doing that for 10 years. Why would that be a problem now? But nothing's a problem until it is. And I usually see people when they feel like enough discomfort, right? Like, I'm sick of not feeling comfortable in my clothes, or I'm sick of having shoulder pain. Like, they have to be in enough discomfort to come see me. So they probably, if it felt that obvious to them, they would have already thought of it.
That's amazing what you mentioned right now, that they need to be in enough discomfort to search for help in general. And that's actually the point where people actually decide to make any change or to search for support, right? When they have enough of something.
It's really unfortunate. I wish I could change that, but yes.
Yes, you also mentioned something before, which I found very important. You said that you cannot be everything to everyone, which is such a great life wisdom. And I'm curious to learn if, what what other life wisdoms you would like to share with us. That's one thing. And the other part is, which I'm also very curious about, what made you realize that you're not everything to everyone? You cannot be everything to everyone.
Trying to do that. I will say, when I first became a trainer, I mean, this has shown up in multiple areas of my life, but when I first became a trainer, I took on every client, which, sounds good, right? If you want to run a successful business, you have to have customers. But as anyone who, oh, did we freeze? Oh, I thought we froze for a sec. Sorry. But as anyone that has had, successful business for a time knows, like, some clients take a lot of time and energy, and you don't really feel like you get anywhere with them. And for me, I always internalized that, and I was like, there's something that you're doing wrong. And I really prided myself on being able to work with absolutely anyone. So what happened was, as other trainers sort of wanted to offload or fire their clients, they would give me those clients. And I took that as a compliment in the beginning. And then eventually I realized that it drains my capacity to be at my best if I have people who only drain me. And I mean, the client coach relationship should be a selfish one. This is about them, this is about their journey. Like, they don't need to worry about, if I ate breakfast or if I felt sick yesterday. It should be a selfish one. But at the same time, like, I also have to have people, I realized, who are not just like so negative that I can't help us come out of that, because perhaps they will move out of that stage at some point. But so there were a couple people, regretfully, that I feel fell into that category, where it just pulled me so far to the left that I couldn't center myself. And I think that's where that line in that lesson is. As far as other life wisdom, I think just having boundaries in general has helped me. I think I was a person that really always blurred the lines, because I just wanted to help people genuinely, like, outside of being a coach, um, and realizing that, like, it's important not just for you, but, like, even if you think about a parent-child relationship or a relationship you have with a pet, like, it's healthy for both of you to have boundaries. Like, these are hours where I won't be reachable, or these are topics that aren't appropriate for us to discuss. Or, like, you have to kind of figure out that balance, I think, within your professional life and within your personal life, to feel energized. And I want to feel energized.
Absolutely. Also, the other part that came to my mind right now is that basically choosing very carefully who who are our friends, who are the people we are surrounded by, because they heavily influence our environment, our lives as well, right? As you mentioned about your clients before, how much they, drained your energy. For a while they were definitely, in a way, good clients because you wanted to help, but at some point you hit the tipping point of them not any longer being the right people for you to support in general, right?
Sure. Yeah, I think just not perpetuating an unhealthy relationship that you don't feel like you have the capacity to make healthy. And that, I mean, that can happen in our personal lives too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really enjoy meeting people. So I would say I, have a very small group of like close people that I feel incredibly supported by. But that's probably like all I feel like I need. And then I have so many, friends and acquaintances that I keep in touch with because I really enjoy knowing people. I think I've just learned to pay attention to red flags and not force things that shouldn't be forced, if that makes sense.
Well, maybe in general, you at some point you just learn to take care of yourself so
Yeah.
holistically, right? Which is
I
so
think
important.
I'm very optimistic, and that while that can be a good quality, like it can also make it difficult to create boundaries in relationships. But I think I've gotten a lot better at saying, like, well, here's what I can do. You can think about how you feel about that. But that's what I can do. I can't do more than that.
Fascinating,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. Creating boundaries is a difficult thing for me still, I think.
But on the other hand, it's so important. I feel like on the way in our life journeys, we just learn these different lessons and then we just adjust accordingly, right?
I feel like you and I have talked about this before too.
Yes,
Like,
it's
because
just a
I think I
never-ending
realized
story.
my behavior like in my professional life was similar to what it is in my personal life. And then running the Founders Voyage community, I feel like that's kind of like both. So I also realized in that, like, I had to set some boundaries with some people that maybe just weren't used to having boundaries set with them, not in a mean way at all, but like we were talking about, well, of course I'm not going to be immediately responsive to you, or I can't, I have no power to do X. um
Absolutely, I totally understand that. One question. So one important, as you mentioned, setting the right boundaries is it's a great life lesson. Also, the wisdom that I'm for sure I'm going to carry until the end of my days. I'm sure that's also for you the case. What are the entrepreneurial lessons that you have learned over the last year, especially during the COVID time? I know that the pandemic, influenced lots of small businesses, especially. And I'm curious to learn, how did you navigate through that challenge in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one that I learned for myself, and I've heard several other people verbalize on the Founders Voyage podcast, is if someone wants to pay you for a service, if multiple people want to pay you for a service, then figure out how to do it. I was really hesitant to become an online trainer because I had always done it in person, and I just couldn't picture how it was going to be the same. And it's not the same. It's not the same at all, but in some ways it's better. Like it gave me so much more flexibility, but it also gave my clients more flexibility, and it provided some benefits I didn't expect. Like, so one of the benefits of having people set up a workout for themselves, right? They're setting all the equipment up. Before, I would set up the equipment. Now they have a place that they can go to that they know they can do that. So for people that are actually, coming to me because they have some chronic pain that we're sorting through and they felt better after the stretches and rolling we did, they can go back into that same room and do that. You know, I've even had people set like said, let's set an alarm and have you do this before bed. That's what I do, you know? And then they go back and do that and they're like, yeah, I am sleeping so much better. But now they have that in their environment. So it was like fewer barriers, because before it was like, well, now, you know, you've done this at the gym, you could do this at home, but the likelihood of them doing it at home was so much less because there weren't all those associations. So that was like a huge benefit and eye opener to me, that like there's going to be so much more. I also can accommodate, you know, people from different time zones now. Whereas, you know, I was really stuck in a certain geography, you know, in that time zone. So being able to accommodate people all over the U.S. is pretty awesome. Maybe eventually internationally, and then yeah, I feel like there's so much capacity that like we don't envision when we're kind of rested in that fear. Um, for me, I think it's like pushing myself off the diving board. Um, I don't think that most people have no fear. I think it's just figuring out how to work past the fears that you have, and maybe just asking yourself, like, what am I afraid of, and saying it out loud, because it's not going to sound as scary as you think it is. You know, I was afraid of failing. I was afraid that it wasn't going to be as good. You know, I felt like I had these really high standards. And I've realized, though, that I can see people's movement patterns over Zoom like I could in person, even if I can't take a 360 view. Or I give them personal ownership and I say, can you look at your feet and tell me what you see? And I can, you know, demonstrate, and they take that ownership on. So, like, I feel like even though I was so afraid of this gave them some of the ownership that I wanted them to have from the beginning.
Mm, beautiful. And in general, I can imagine also for the pandemic, you just got, at least what I remember from our conversation, your business actually thrived. You got so much more attention and so much bigger clientele during that time.
Hmm.
Is that
Oh,
something you
oh,
learned?
do you mean like my business that I started, or do you mean the gym that I was working for?
The business that you started? Because I can imagine with all of these online movements and people moving mostly remotely, there was just so many other opportunities for you to develop your business and bring new clients, and as you mentioned, develop it more statewide but also internationally.
Well, I tested with people from all over the place because I wanted to see how it worked. I wanted to get feedback. And then this is actually like, I didn't go through the 24 steps in
Oh,
Bill's book,
going to
but
talk
this
to
is
Bill
one of
about
the,
this.
yeah, this is one of the things I took away from boot camp,
Mhm.
though, is definitely do that market research and get people to be really honest with you about how they feel about it and what they would actually pay for and how much they actually would pay. So that part worked out super well. I think I tested maybe for about 4 months or so. Tested like using different setups and different cameras, and like I have more room in this room now than I did initially, but I realized that most people aren't going to have a whole lot of room. So I shouldn't have a whole lot of room either. Like all of this has to be, you know, like done like in a small space. So yeah, I think I did a lot of testing. I did a lot of reading about liability insurance, especially in relation to COVID, which was totally new. And I was still sort of trying to make the girls' exercise program work that I had been helping to run in some fashion. So I had some understanding of how COVID had affected liability insurance, but still buying my own. That was the first thing I did before I did any testing. And then drawing up a waiver, and that was a kind of a painful process, but a necessary one. and then I think I didn't so much advertise what I was doing as I had all of these people that had tested for me. So they were the first people that I pitched to. And then the other thing that unfortunately happened with the employer that I was working for was they overcharged a lot of the clients I had been working for, or they didn't honor the sessions they had had. And I had absolutely no capacity, to like appeal to that company and get a refund because they had laid me off because of the pandemic. So I made it up to them in free sessions. And some of those people became my first loyal clients of this business. So essentially, I approached them in the nicest way possible.
Wonderful. Hey, congratulations. And when you think about your business, but also your personal life and your aspirations, what's your vision for the future?
Um, I think they're intertwined in a sense, but I think one of the wise things I did during the pandemic when I was working on myself was realizing that they were also going to be separate. So for the business, I really love personal training, but I really want this to live beyond just that. I'm but one person. So I have launched my YouTube channel, and what I am beginning to create, what I would like it to become, is a self-service station for people who are coming in with some sort of barrier. Maybe they're just not sure how to, do some healthy swaps in nutrition, or maybe they have shoulder pain, right? That unfortunately, pain is a really popular topic, and those videos get tons of hits. But I'm also putting out the videos about dealing with grief because that's a big barrier that I see people deal with, even if it's not a hot topic. So I'm really trying to put together a body of work that will be more of a self-help center for people. And then beyond that, I want them to be able to reach out to me for one-on-one support that they need beyond that. And some of the questions I get are really, really amazing. People have their own perception of things, and they're always educating me on new ways of thinking about things. And then beyond that, I'm possibly picturing that this is like kind of like a dream at the moment, so it may evolve. But I really feel like what's missing with these plug and play programs that I see, like, get fit in 5 weeks, or, like reshape all your habits in 8 weeks. Like none of them are bad per se, but I do feel that perhaps what I see is missing the most is that mental and emotional component. So I would love to create some sort of program where it has an aspect where you can go through it, and there's motivational part if you wanted to get into motivational journaling, which has helped me a lot. You could do that, like has different pieces that perhaps you don't think of as part of your health journey, but could help you. And people can either just go through it once, or it's something that I can continue to grow and update as I learn more. And they could do it, evergreen, because that would be more sustainable for me to serve more people for a longer period of time, which is really what I want. And I also really want to make it more affordable for people. Like personal training is an investment because you get that one-on-one attention. And while I love doing that, I did not grow up being able to afford something like that. So I really want to offer this to more people. And then I would say, as far as what I really want for myself, I really want to do more international travel. I want to have more experiences. We just went through the process of applying and unfortunately getting denied for an adoption, but just to like allow myself to want something like that and to pursue it at that level was something that I hadn't done in a while. So like I really want to go to the Galapagos. I really want to experience exercise as other people see it in different cultures. So I think, I don't have complete plans to do any of those things yet, but I'm starting to dream bigger for myself, which I think is healthy too.
Wonderful. And I wish you that all of that happens and that you make these things happen for you, for yourself, for your business, and for other people. And congratulations already on all of the achievement that you have, created so far. It's very beautiful to see also you as you grow over the years. And thank you so much for joining me today for this podcast. And I wish you all the best on your further journey.
Thank you. I feel so honored that you had me on, and I really appreciate your thoughtful questions. And you have an amazing journey yourself, so I really hope that this is a great success. And let me know when it comes out because I will definitely help promote it as well.
Of course. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Creative Bites. It's been a pleasure sharing these stories and insights with you. Remember, creativity is all around us, ready to be discovered, nurtured, and celebrated. I'm Ivona Fluda, and until next time, keep creating, keep exploring, and keep inspiring. Thanks for listening, and goodbye for now.